I think my mic was muted, but okay, I think I'm good. If it isn't the man himself, it is, and I wish I could hear him. Well, hopefully you can hear me now. Oh, there he is. Well, good to hear that I didn't bumble it up too bad. Oh my god, he's real. Yeah, I'm real. I really didn't think we'd get this far with streaming. Not at all. But yeah, here we are. Okay, so I wanna preference this. Never done ASMR before, so I am flying, quite literally, by the seat of my pants. Trying to be calm, trying to be chill, just trying to be mellow, nice and easy on the ears. It is time to just retitle the stream to just nope. Getting that song back on. That song's nice. Reading the whole Piklopedia, because I don't want you to be quiet. I mean, we'll look through all of the different notes. But we'll see. I actually didn't know the game kept track of how many enemies your Pikmin got eaten by. Well, whatever. I can't. But I will try. Just keep this nice chill and melody. I am not good at this, but I will do my best. The next thing is that sound redeems are currently. Please be loud. I mean, I think he knew. Yeah, they're off. They are off, at least for this stream. I'm gonna. He read me like he's playing Incineroar. I would do a JoJo meme, but I think that's. So for we'll set it to 50. Okay. So there should be a new reward that just popped up. So since I don't expect everyone to just... Actually, I'm going to edit it real quick. And Kirta already with the first redeem. But yeah, so should be a new redeem for the Piklopedia entry. I was gonna go down in just numerical order, but if somebody wants a particular entry, it's just 50 channel points. Nothing too big, extreme. Anything like that. Number 45. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. Well, I did not think we'd start on groovy, but here we are. Alright, we'll probably do. Honestly, I would. Honestly, it's a great one to start with. The groovy longlegs, the Pseudoarachnia discopedis from the Arachnorp family, and traditionally only active at night. With mesmerizing lights that pierce through the darkness and a low groove that stirs your soul. How could you not get your dance on? Is it a creature or a machine? Who cares? Everyone can join this party. A word of caution, though. Be careful you don't dance right underneath its feet. Still, never ever get used to it. This species has some remaining organic internal organs, but its carapace and eyes are all made up of inorganic material. All 19 of its eyes are actually photoelectronic sensors that the species uses to precisely locate its prey. The gas emitted from the posterior of its first leg joints includes a chemical substance that, after making contact with another organism's brain, temporarily controls that organism's actions. The groovy longlegs uses this natural phenomenon called the endless dance to make its prey jump between its legs while it moves around in bizarre rhythms. The entire interaction is seemingly odd for a living organism, but the line between organic and inorganic on this planet is not always clear. And of course, with Louie, this creature is mostly tendon, so it often gets stuck in your teeth. It smells like plastic or possibly metal. Then Kirta with another redeem. 5, 21. The Candy Pop Bud. From the Flora Espellis family, or for its scientific name, I should say. Candy Pop Bud, and traditionally active during the day. The longer I look at it, the more I feel a strange urge to throw something into it. Succumbing to the intrusive thought, I once threw a bomb into one. When I did, patooey. It spit the bomb right back out. I can't help seeing some sort of lifelike response in that. What looks like the interior of a flower is actually an insectivorous leaf that's developed into an organ. That I did not know. This organ releases a sweet scent from its central pistil? I'm no good at reading scientific words. Luring small insects into its interior and trapping them. Pistol, like the pew. Probably. The DNA of those captured organisms is directly absorbed by the plant's cells, which might indicate that it is a species that is attempting to evolve at an astounding speed. But in most cases, the cells essentially self-destruct. I know, so I learned science teaching. That is entirely fair. Also, everyone, for anyone who's here, a certain Miss Rose has gotten their master's recently. Give her a bit of a round of applause and a pat on the back. She deserves it. Did well. You deserve. You put the work in. You did great. I'm going to grab charger. Plug into the switch. If I can see, I'm trying too hard not to be too loud. There we go. But in most cases, the cells essentially self-destruct. The bud then releases pigment seeds of the same color, and the plant withers. Muscle fibers extremely similar to those of an onion were found in the species, so one could hypothesize that a candy pop bud is an under or undeveloped onion. However, there aren't enough details to confirm this theory either way. Way too spicy for a salad, no matter what color bud you use. So many picks, so many little Pikmins. Alright. So I guess with that... don't think there's any other ones to really... don't think there are any other entries. No entries. So I guess... you know what, I'll do one that I've wanted to read for a while. The Onion. The majesty of nature, the mystery of life. I feel that these stale cliches can't fully express the extraordinary symbiotic relationship between Pikmin and onions. Is there a connection here of an affectionate nature, perhaps? There's still so much we don't know. Sometimes it lies dormant, much like a bulb. But dig it up from the ground and provide it with the right stimulus, for example, a good hard shake, and it will activate, sprouting 3 root-like legs. It serves a role similar to a nest or an incubator for the Pikmin, absorbing pellets in the bodies of dead creatures for their nutritional value, and then propagating Pikmin the same color as itself. It's the middle of fighting a zombie horse. But don't go calling me out of my grad work. Fair enough, fair enough. But you deserve, you deserve congratulations for it. And 5, once we finish this one up. Onions also seem to greedily attempt to replicate certain characteristics of the matter that they absorb by combining with, or absorbing, other onions, sometimes of the same type. It's been confirmed that, just like Pikmin, an onion has muscle fibers in its body, and though it is unable to walk, it is capable of a small range of motion. However, when one breaks down the biological matter that is absorbed, a fuel similar to bioethanol is created. Onions spray this fuel out of the mouths of their underbellies and are able to fly using their flower-like propellers for stabilization. Man, this series never doesn't feel like a science lecture. And I love that, to be honest. If you look closely, you'll see its legs are sprouting a dense layer of hair. Wait, really? No, I don't see it. Maybe Louis just off his rocker a little bit. Good lore? Yeah, his good lore. Then number 5. The dwarf orange bulborb. An imposter posing as the offspring of an orange bulborb. It resembles the orange bulborb in every way. Not just in the obvious shape, but even down to its sharp senses. Alert to each sound and movement in its vicinity. What a lovable little imposter. Just as dwarf red bulborbs mimic the appearance of the bulborb, it was theorized that a variant mimicking the orange bulborb must exist. Recent fieldwork has confirmed this theory. And of course, Louis. Although difficult to prepare, this exquisite creature is more than worth the effort. Great in fajitas. I've got to admit, I've never actually had fajitas before. So I can't exactly say one way or the other if they're good. I know that there's one YouTuber who I've been watching come visit my parents. It will make you some. I probably should. I know that. What is it? There's one YouTuber who has been trying to think of what substitutes of basically trying to make the recipes that Louis brings up. And I've really got to find that channel again because it was really interesting. Alright. This one I'm curious on, the albino dwarf bulborb. Among all the naturally charming dwarf bulborbs, this one might have the most attractive and well-balanced conformation. When night falls, the eyes of these fascinating creatures emit an intense glow. Whether to mesmerize prey or help it spot others of its kind, it's an intriguing adaptation. I could stare into those little shining eyes forever. A bulborb larva after its first molt. Due to its pale coloration, it was assumed to be a mimic when it was first discovered. It was later confirmed to be a true dwarf bulborb. To avoid predation from adult bulborbs, it spends the majority of its daytime hours hiding underground. It becomes more active at night when its paler coloration is more difficult to see. In this state, it is difficult to discern what species of bulborb any given juvenile may be upon appearance alone. It's only after a bulborb's second molt that they start to display more distinguishing species characteristics. Yeah, these little guys are actually grub dogs, rather than the others. Peel off the skin, starting at the tail end, then slice thinly and boil in a pot of heavily salted water. Serve immediately. That doesn't sound bad, actually. And the littlest creature, the dwarf bulborb. A miniature reflection of a mature bulborb. When you see this little mimic stomping around on its stubby legs, you'll fall in love with the remarkably clever beastie. You hot pot them. You do. You do. That actually does sound really good, I'm not gonna lie. Such a skillfully tiny trickster could mislead anyone. It's born to be adored. Hot pot good? Hot pot is good. Although initially identified as a juvenile bulborb, groundbreaking new research indicates that this creature is in fact a member of the breadbug family. A close relative of breadbugs, it escapes predation through mimicry. Unique adaptation of the bulborb's crimson coloration allows the species to safely commingle. Such effective adaptation and obfuscation by a prey species is rare, indicating this clever creature is a master of mimicry. And of course, for a blissful bisque, mince the entire beast finely and stir with heavy cream, artichoke hearts, and a pinch of black pepper. Heat slowly until piping hot, rich and creamy. Louis will forever, ever remain an absolute pain in my neck. But the man can cook. I will not deny him that. And the regular old bulborb friend. It has wide, googly eyes on protruding stalks, a mouth meant to swallow prey in one large gulp, and powerful red and white polka-dotted hindquarters. And it's fierce, and yet it's somewhat quite endearing. Be wary of getting lured in by its disarming mien. This large organism has the similar mandibles and cranial morphology of the grub dog family, as well as the characteristic bulging eyes. As with most scrub dogs, the creature's cranium comprises half of its total length and girth, showing a scarlet abdomen with white spots. This creature is primarily nocturnal, choosing to prey upon smaller creatures returning to their nests. Originally classified as the spotty bulborb, further research has reclassified the species as the basic bulborb. Subspecies of varied colors have recently been discovered, but academics are divided into two rival camps over how to handle their classification. The basic bitch. It is. I mean, the bulborb is the most common enemy of Pikmin. It is the one that, like, you associate most with the species. Well, not the species, the series. And Louis. Plump specimens are best spit roasted whole, stuffed with a lime and a slab of bacon. Basted frequently to ensure a magnificently moist haunch. I think the YouTuber that I watched classified the bulborb as, I think, something in, like, beef taste. I think that's what he lined it up as, but don't quote me on that. And if it shows up on the Brawl or Smash 3DS stage, I am sacrificing somebody to it. That is, you do what you gotta do. The Jumbo Bulborb. Jumbo. That word sets an image in your mind. Being larger than others of its species means its heart is proportionally bigger too, so its devotion to its family also grows. When it savagely bites, it's only doing so to protect those it cares about. The most loving critters can sometimes also be the fiercest. Ain't that the truth? During reproduction, after an egg is fertilized by a sperm, any excess chromosomes are usually discarded through a process called meiosis. But occasionally, this process fails to occur, and a bulborb individual will develop irregularly due to this chromosomal abnormality. Species like this one are stronger than the average bulborb and can exhibit more aggressive behavior. However, they are not able to procreate, as they never truly reach sexual maturity. It's a rather large creature, but the meat is tender and flavorful. It's impossible to eat in one sitting, so store some portions for later. Coat the fattier meat in cooking oil and freeze. Leaner cuts should be smoked. It's wild this is a kid's game. Yeah. Like, Olimar's original job was just a delivery driver. I don't think there was ever any indication that he was like a scientist. But his time on PNF 404 made him want to observe these creatures. And boy howdy did he observe them. Alright, orange bulborb. Now, because of the sex talk? Yeah. It is like... But yes, much detail on science. Yeah, no, it's... As far as I know, it's only for the jumbo bulborb that it talks about that. I could be wrong. I've never read all the Piklopedia entries in this game yet, but that's what this stream is for, I suppose. If you approach it while it's sleeping, it will immediately wake up, leap to its feet, and peer around nervously. Would you like to? Honestly, I would. I like learning this stuff. Having world building of seeing, like, what do the creatures eat? What do they do? Like, what's their habitats like? I love that stuff. And this is nice. With such finely tuned senses, it's no wonder this bulborb can get a bit sleep deprived. Though its big bloodshot eyes do look surprisingly cute. This bulborb species boasts a garish color scheme, with a deep orange body and black spots. The orange bulborb's yellow, bloodshot eyes make it clear that this bulborb is excessively edgy and high-strung, making it much easier to wake from its deep slumber than other species of the grub dog family. This bulborb's meaty flanks make for delicious, savory steaks that shouldn't be missed. Man. I'd also like to point out that just looking at things, we've lost more Pikmin to the jumbo and the regular bulborbs than we did the high-strung orange bulborb. It's weird to me. But then again, you know, c'est la vie. Alright, the dwarf bulborb. Huh. Yeah, it's weird. I didn't think I lost that many Pikmin to either, but more so to them. This little darling is always with its beloved mother, but when it grows up, she'll drive it away. Though it may seem cruel, She helps it develop the confidence to survive on its own by forcing it to fend for itself. Such practical creatures could teach us a lot about learning to get by in the world. A spotty bull bear, larva in its third stage of development. This creature's body structure is nearing maturation. However, unlike mature bull bears, it has yet to claim its own patrol route, and thus is dependent on its parent for guarding direction. Remove the innards, stuff with sage and finely aged prosciutto, and boil until golden brown. The ultimate crowd pleaser. I can speak. And the spotty bull bear. I expected to lose substance. One glance, and you'll never forget them for as long as you live. Those unmistakably bold lips. The most distinctive feature, the likes of which I've seen nowhere else in the universe. When I gaze upon them, I wonder if the lips serve a double duty as a way to feel the world around it, since this cute little cuddler has no fingers. I'm sorry, Dalamo. What part of this thing looks cuddly? Genuinely, I'm asking you, bud. A mid-sized subspecies within the grub dog family. The spotty bull bear's unique feeding habits set it apart from other grub dogs. It patrols a set path, searching for prey instead of passively feeding on creatures that wander into a limited territorial range. When entering spotty bull bear habitats, it is wise to proceed with extreme caution until the bull bear's patrol path can be clearly identified. Hey Amara, welcome to stream. Welcome to my first attempt at ASMR, and I am trying my best. For an unrivaled green curry, peel away the spotty bull bear's skin, pulverize the juicy innards, and stew until curiously fragrant. I'm concerned for Louis' dietary ideas, but they do sound good. You're doing great, boss. I am trying my best. Dwarf Frosty Bulbul. Huh. They're also actual grub dogs. Neato. The ice crystals on its back are finely detailed and delightfully iridescent. As a juvenile of the species, it sometimes overproduces that sparkling layer of crystals. One of its parents will then snappily crack away at the ice so it doesn't weigh the little one down. My heart melts when I see such loving family dynamics out in the wild. Much like more mature specimens, the juvenile Frosty Bulborb is able to create and carry ice on an epidermis that promotes extracellular freezing. However, they take an entire night to regenerate their ice, which is why they're often accompanied by adults. Juveniles display a smaller number of spots than the adults, causing some to believe this was actually a species of mimicking breadbug. However, the results of further analysis prove that this was not the case. A sweet and savory meat that pairs well with a green salad. A creature that thrives in the coldest climates. Its ice-coated haunches shimmer like a living jewel in the frigid air. You can admire the way it sparkles to your heart's content, but don't get too close. You might get that frosty frozen on the spot if you try to touch it. A bulborb with large amounts of ice and frost covering its midsection. It's unusual to find ice such as this attached to a living organism, as it's cold enough to freeze small animals and regenerates any ice mass that gets broken off. This bulborb species' intercellular stores of sugars, amino acids, and organic acids provide it with a plant-like resistance to freezing, making it possible for the bulborb to touch the ice without freezing itself. Good calm stream. That was the point. I think that was the ultimate point for it. A much calmer, cooler, quiet stream, and I'll be honest, after the week I've had, this is weirdly relaxing, and I like it. Sear the rich and fatty meat on both sides with a dab of butter, and then sprinkle generously with fresh thyme. For those who prefer leaner cuts, I recommend the tip of the nose. You know what? We've never seen bulborb skeletons, so we don't exactly know what would be cartilage, what would be meat, and what would be bone. So I can't exactly say Louie's crazy for that, but he's crazy for trying to cook all these things. Ah, the fiery blacks. When I see this blazing beastie, I get a rush of excitement. It's easy to lose track of time while staring fixatedly at the fire-enshrouded form of the fiery blacks. Its appearance brings to mind ancient molten landscapes from an era before our earliest ancestors. Bodily excretions of a highly flammable, waxy substance interact with the cell structure of this grub dog's skin, causing a chemical reaction that produces extreme temperatures. The skin benefits from a spongy cell structure that diffuses the surface heat, protecting the creature's inner organs. Due to the astonishing amount of heat produced by this beast, it should be observed with great caution. No stove, no problem. This sizzling beastie practically cooks itself. Remember to thoroughly extinguish the steaks prior to eating. I thought... No, that must have been a different entry. Or was it back in Pikmin 2? I don't remember. The whip-tongue bulborb. Its narrow snout houses an amazing prehensile tongue. It sets its sights and slurps its target right up. The sweet little bean uses this marvel of evolution with great skill. Any creature with a dexterous tongue like that is unlikely to ever grow hungry. Instead of the gnashing jaws usually found in related species, it uses its extensible I can read vicious tongue to capture prey. Even before it opens its mouth, its recognizable by its tapered snout and black spots against its white back. Some theorize that it evolved its long tongue to snatch prey drawn to high blooming flowers, but a recent finding confirmed that until its second molt, this creature feeds with its teeth, much like other grub dog species. It will begin to use its tongue once it reaches adulthood. The adaptability and variability in bulborbs is nuts. Pat the tongue dry, then coat all sides with a spicy dry rub of your choice. Grill over high heat until the outside is perfectly crisped. Bulborb larva, the worst thing from Pikmin 2. A toddling infant that anyone would love. With the body and delicate skin of a newborn, this cute little button is sensitive to all stimuli. Whatever you do around it, it must be done slowly, gently, and quietly. As adorable as this baby is, you might be tempted to embrace it. But don't. You could squish the fragile darling. I don't like that sentence. Yeah, I don't like it either. As its name implies, this creature is a bulborb in an early stage of development. Its distinct bulborb coloration has yet to appear, but it already exhibits other uniquely bulborb characteristics. It is capable of hunting nourishment independently without the help of its parents. This meager creature offers little meat, but its eyeballs are a local delicacy. Try them with some okra and a dollop of sour cream. That is, in my opinion, a fate too kind to these little things. No, I can't change. I can't change it. No. No. The striking polka dots along the expansive hide provide the very image of royal splendor. No, I don't think so. While that regal presence essential for queenly quality might throw you off your guard, her grand, lumpy figure has more than visual impact. Are you sure about that, Dalmo? When provoked, this charmer will roly-poly over and squish any threats. Approach with utmost caution. Initial observation placed no doubt on the capability of the grub dog family to support a strong ant-like or bee-like social structure. But recent studies show the family is capable of such complexity for brief periods when certain external parameters are met. The egg sac of the largest female grub dog within a given range swells to dramatic proportions in response to environmental changes, such as the sudden depletion of prey species. Those females temporarily take on the role of packed matriarch. Also, in pack formation, it has been observed that nearly all males not involved in species reproduction undergo natural sex changes. The characteristics of such species are quite intriguing indeed. And for a sophisticated delicacy, make a pâté de foie gras from this massively obese creature's liver and spread it over a sesame cracker. I don't like any of that. So, let's see if we can at least get... Okay, that works. At least something a bit more visually interesting than just them back in the ground. It has broad, moss-colored flanks and a head like a desert, complete with big, droopy jowls and small, googly eyes. And number 35 will do. This creature appears to be quite moody, but it does have a cooperative streak. The way this temperamental, bulbous giant cohabitats with others of its kind is quite surprising. The largest member of the grub dog family is normally found buried underground. This camouflage allows the predator to surprise smaller creatures and use its long, adhesive tongue to capture prey. The thick hide and angular hump give the organism a distinct rock-like quality. During the rainy season, moss grows freely on its hump, making it nearly indistinguishable from this lethal predator from a stone. To prepare the tongue for cooking, marinate in olive oil and chop into cubes. Stir in a pot with carrots, potatoes, chives, cover and simmer over low heat for several hours. Accompany this mouth-watering rustic stew with a hearty roll. And Kirta with the redeem for number 35, 18, 24, 36. The Skitterleaf. Both in its vibrant color and precise shape, this cunning crawler looks just like a leaf. It's the perfect camouflage. It only becomes an issue when this somewhat careless critter forgets to look for a hiding place when an abundance of other green leaves lying around it. Then it becomes quite easy to spot. The skitterleaf is a relative of the pond skater that shed its wings and adapted to life on the ground, with no residual traits of its airborne past. The skitterleaf can neither fly nor skit across the surface of the water. The wings have since evolved into a leaf-like structure on its back, which serves to hide the skitterleaf through mimicry. It appears quite effective, as few predators can see through this clever disguise. The superb amalgamation of juicy meat and leafy greens ensures that the skitterleaf will be the new spinach. That is not what I meant to do. But okay. Oh, this gargantuan pain in my butt. The value of a living creature has within its ecosystem has no relation at all to how big or small it is. That being said, this massive mountain of a critter is truly majestic. Not only does it have the courage and means to lay waste to any opponent, but it also has a roar that could make even the boldest traveler start to tremble in their spacesuit. And Emperor Bulblax of extremely advanced age. It will no longer display the packed behavior commonly exhibited by younger members of its species. Instead, as an individual ages, it leaves the herd and exhibits more solitary behaviors. It feeds by using its strong, developed legs to leap upon and crush its prey with speeds disproportionate to its massive body. To determine the age of any specimen, you can count the rings of hide calcified in the form of a carapace. One ring forms roughly every year the creature lives. Individuals with over 100 age rings have been discovered so far. So these guys can be over 100 years old. That's nuts. The Sovereign Bulblax's back is often covered in moss and petriopites. On a few occasions, specimens have been found with a rare species of mushroom called a bulborel growing on its back. For a light appetizer, pluck the ferns off its back and lightly cook to remove any astringent flavor. The tongue, eyes, lips, meat, and fat are very tasty and can be prepared in a variety of ways. More mature species have a more highly developed umami flavor. It's like a moral. It is. It is weird. I like it though. The fiery blowhog. You'll recognize it by its plump, bottle-shaped torso and round, bright red mouth. Have you ever seen such an adorable creature? But no matter how cute it may seem, when observing the species, you had best remain behind it. Otherwise, you could end up in its path when it spits a gout of flame and gets cooked right up. Though it looks like a lot of its flame-spewing Nope, wrong one. This creature expels a volatile phosphorus compound from its snout that combusts upon contact with the air. This fire-breathing ability is dependent upon the air-to-fuel ratio in its mouth, catalyst reaction within the expelled compound, and purification of the compound. Thus, it is highly unlikely such a complex process could cause the spontaneous explosion of a fallen blowhog. This process also perhaps to avoid the risk of spontaneous combustion in the belly of a live specimen. However, one should still treat a fiery blowhog with great care during transfer. And I just now noticed its scientific name of Sus draconis. It's a sus dragon. Oh, gods. Roast this flavorful beast for several hours, letting it stew in its own succulent juices. Don't worry about overcooking this beast. It's scorch-proof. That does make me wonder. If you did try to cook creatures that would normally resist fire, how hard would it be to cook them? Hmm. Questions to ponder later. The watery blowhog. Though it looks a lot like its flame-spewing counterpart, remember that the blue around its mouth is for water, and red is for fire. Convenient, is it not? Keep that in mind, and you can avoid being unpleasantly surprised. A watery blowhog shower to wash away all your dirt and woes. At the end of the day, doesn't sound so bad. A variant subspecies of the fiery blowhog. The watery blowhog lacks several of the genes necessary for the production of fire-producing catalysts, and thus expels jets of non-flammable liquid. This species appears to have only recently evolved. However, the hereditary traits of this species are dominant and highly robust, so its population is rapidly increasing. That is curious, but interesting. This beast's unrivaled moistness gives it a melt-in-the-mouth quality that is incomparable. I don't like how that sounded, Louis. Not at all. Anyway, the snowy blowhog. What's that? You think the different types of blowhogs all look the same? Well, you'll need to look a little bit closer. For example, this little fellow has light yellow eyes and an aquamarine body with turquoise lips and blue nails. Okay, but how do you cook watery blowhog, Louis? Probably the same as you would cook a fiery blowhog. Just maybe even sous vide it. Maybe. Also, I didn't even notice. Yeah, no, the snowy blowhog has little blue nails. I never noticed that before. That's cute. Very cute. It all comes together to create a unique appearance, designed to give anyone the chills. This species has the ability to condensate atmospheric carbon dioxide within an organ called a cold sac. The cold sac creature creates dry ice, and its vapors are then expelled as icy breath. A close relative to this species, the fiery blowhog can keep its internal body temperature from rising because the phosphorated compounds it expels only ignite when they make contact with the air. In contrast, the snowy blowhog maintains its internal body conditions below freezing, and other internal organs are protected by thick layers of fat and extracellular freezing that occurs within its cold sac. Alright, and how do you cook this one, Louis? Sprinkle lightly with salt and eat while the ice bag is still fresh and crunchy. Just one bite will give you the most satisfying brain freeze. I think that's only for you, Louis, because there's not a whole lot going up in that noggin. The Titan blowhog. Massive gouts of flame blow out from this gigantic body with astonishing force, enough to make you think of a volcanic eruption. This creature exhibits the power of nature's fury. One can be truly overwhelmed by the sight of the Titan blowhog's raging torrents of fire. Due to a hormone abnormality, this fiery blowhog specimen has grown to an irregularly giant size. As a result, its mouth and organs that regulate its fire-breathing abilities are significantly larger, so the firepower of this specimen greatly exceeds of its normal counterpart. The fire it produces is actually so strong that the stress it places on the creature's internal organs is magnified, thus reducing its overall lifespan. This specimen is also unable to reproduce. Huh. Weird. Creature too large to easily carve. Bigger is not better in this case. So we finally found the first thing Louis won't try to first eat. Unrecognized Prom 4, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome, traveler, welcome. This isn't something I normally do, but thank you for the follow. And I hope you enjoy your time here regardless. Ooh. Number 6. Why am I not surprised? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The Toxstool. Look at this chunky boy. See how it toddles and bounces on its wee little footsies as it goes for a stroll, scattering extremely toxic spores along the way. This creature is like a walking nuisance, but there's an odd kind of charm that the bothersome nature makes it so hard to leave alone. Much like the puffstool, the toxstool is neither animal nor fungus, but a mix of the two, or an ambule fungus. It doesn't serve a predatory or consumer role in the ecosystem, but functions instead as a decomposer. It primarily parasitizes other living organisms by blanketing them within its spores. However, the toxstool can infect a deceased specimen as well. Its hyperphaly is able to move the muscles and control the body, as if bringing it back from the dead. The way the fungal filaments grow differ based on the host organism. In some cases, they may cause the hosts to wander around in search of food to facilitate a more nutrient-rich fungal culture medium. They can also just use the host as a means to scatter more spores. This is not what I expected from entry number 69. How's this crazy man gonna try and eat it? Bury underground for about 40 days so the poison can leach out. Its smell will make you gag, but the flavor has notes of chocolate. I'm concerned. Greatly concerned. Alright. Back up to the top where we were at. It is the Dust Blowhog. Setting its unwavering sights on its target, it makes a ferocious, mad dash at full speed. Even if you hit it really hard, he won't slow down, this bold beastie. It single-mindedly carries through its actions with an unwavering focus that inspires me to improve my focus on my own tasks. Similar to an ancestor species of the fiery blowhog, this creature has a pair of sharp tusks that it uses to charge at foes with vigorous violence. It demonstrates its aggressive nature when it pursues its prey and when it's attacked by a predator of its own. In the case of the latter, the tusked blowhog will attack its attacker, causing them to balk while it can dash away to safety. This species also has an extremely sharp sense of smell, which it uses to detect the pheromone-like scent of its favorite food, underground mushrooms. Oh, that's actually very cute. And Kirta with a hydrate and a posture check. Yeah. And smooth with a trinity of his own. Ugh. A little spicy going down, but it's good. Stew with some root vegetables, wild greens, and a bit of miso for a mouth-watering and rustic flavor. Drain all the blood beforehand to avoid that gamey smell. Louis had to have had a process for all these creatures. He's had to. The armored cannon larva. This little creature will spew a giant stone ball, what some might call an odama, when it feels threatened. A reliable cultural document assures me similar items were used as weapons in ancient wars. Maybe this creature is using it for the same way to fight the war for its survival. This species is a lithopod larva. Lithopods, like flint beetles, use internal metabacteria to aid chemical digestion. These metabacteria can only survive in certain environments, such as within the body of certain insects. So, lithopod larvae do not contain any metabacteria immediately after hatching. Larvae feed on particularly digested or regurgitated by mature lithopods, ensuring the larvae obtain metabacteria that they not normally have acquired. So it's like a bird, where the mom will regurgitate for the babies, but in doing so, the babies will get the bacteria so that they can thrive on their own. Ooh, that's neat. Carefully remove every grain of sand and peel back the exoskeleton and slurp heartily. Or deep fry it too. I don't like the implications of that at all. At all. Horned cannon beetle. Its giant, shiny black carapace is one of the precious stones of the natural world. When it lifts its ebony wings, the briefly visible flesh beneath creates a striking color contrast. This is a living work of art that transcends the imagination. Males of this species are known to have their horn-like blowholes. When females reach maturity, their blowhole closes, and they lose the ability to launch rocks. At the start of breeding season, the females lay eggs on rocks launched by a male. The rocks then become food for the growing larva. Though once mistaken for an adult armored cannon beetles, this species is actually a naturalized, non-native species that migrated here from another continent. The horned cannon beetle can breed with adult armored cannon beetles, but only about half of the eggs will actually hatch. This hybrid species has the potential to seriously pollute the gene pool. Furthermore, it exhibits aggressive territorial behavior, sometimes launching boulders at young armored cannon beetles, which has driven the latter species to the verge of extinction. Damn. This species is just a jerk. Drop into boiling water and let it cook until its shell turns red. Remove from the pot and peel. Sprinkle the drained meat with rock salt. Oh, how did Louis get the strength to push this thing into a pot of water big enough to boil it? You know what? I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Whether or not there's snow on the ground, when this surprisingly sweetie comes around, you can have a snowball fight anytime. But don't expect it to go easy on you. You're in for a one-sided defensive battle, and you might end up looking like a snowman by the end. Like other members of the lithopod family, its internal bacteria are specialized to form ice compounds from ambient moisture, which it then expels as projectiles. It technically doesn't rely on cold temperatures to create this ice, which is formed from pressurized internal fluids that act as a coolant. We should cook some Pikmin food. We should. That sounds like an actually nice thing to do. When the projectiles rapidly expand, they absorb ambient heat, lowering the air temperature enough for the moisture in the air to freeze. Peel back the shell and sprinkle the tender meat with a dash of salt before slurping it up raw. For a refreshing dessert, pour fruit juice over the snowballs. Man. But I'd totally be down to try some Pikmin food. If it wasn't for the fact the majority of the monsters we fight are bugs. Like, the Arctic cannon beetle. Come over and let's do it. We should. Beautiful armored beetle that sparkles like a diamond. The sight of it busily stomping around the way it sucks in air and spews out snowballs. Everything about it is remarkable, while standing transfixed by its stunning appearance. You'll end up covered in snow for sure. Upon reaching maturity, the blowhole on its head closes, leaving in its place the pointed crest of the Arctic cannon beetle's shell. In order to get enough food in nutrient-deficient environments, adult species start breathing through their mouths. Some experts have poised. This adaptation causes the species to lose territorial competitions with the armored cannon larva, driving it into colder environments. Though this beetle has increased suction strength, it must ventilate via a spiracle on its abdomen and open its shell to avoid rapid body inflation. Oh boy. Boil the meaty legs until fully cooked, then drizzle with a generous amount of lemon juice. Once the juice has seeped its way into the muscle fibers, suck the meat out of its shell with one big slurp. Ugh. I'm good. I'm very good. This little one's primary food source is secretions from ambuloradishes like Pikmin. To fill the bellies of so many sheargrubs, there must be a healthy population of ambuloradishes creatures in this world. It's through sheargrubs like this that we get a glimpse of the hidden secrets of the planet. The males of the species are purple and black creatures with tapered mouths, while the females are lighter in color and lack an armored exoskeleton. As with most mandiblards, these creatures have regressed to the point where they have lost both legs and wings. They can be seen crawling around on the ground and are believed to feed on the vegetable extracts from congealed fluids of expired Pikmin. Oh, they're scavengers. That kind of makes sense. For an unforgettable quiche, slice this creature up and mix with 4 eggs, 2 vine-ripe tomatoes, diced zucchini, and a generous handfuls of feta and Swiss. Bake until crispy, till crusty and golden. This beast is most flavorful if caught and cooked just after laying its eggs. I don't like the implication of that, Louis. I don't like the implication of that at all. Male sheargrubs. With its powerful jaws, the male sheargrub can secure more food than the female. But it doesn't keep all of it for itself. Right now, in the ground underneath our feet, mated sheargrub pairs are sharing food with each other. What a generous, snuggly grub. This species is a male sheargrub. Having lost both wings and legs, the male burrows into the soil and waits to ambush small creatures that pass by. This beast's mandibles can be dangerous, making creatures such as Pikmin easy prey. Spread several specimens in the bottom of a casserole dish. Layer with sliced avocado and top with cheese. Bake until the meat is cooked through and the cheese is ludicrously browned. I ate dinner before I got on stream, and Louis is making me hungry again. God damn it. Wait, Dom, what's up? Eat. I did eat. You didn't eat. No, I did eat. I ate before I got on stream. Ludicrously. Lusciously. I cannot read. I can read. Oh boy. Since it's exceptionally large, when it squirms to move or wriggles minutely side to side to dig its whole body into the ground like a drill, you can observe it in all its exceptional detail. The way it moves is quite enchanting to watch. If only we could super size all creatures like this. Please, gods, no. The mama sheargrub will typically molt until it reaches maturity, then dig itself into the ground and prepare for egg laying. However, certain types, like this specimen, exhibit neotenacy and retain the appearance of a juvenile of the species. If this species locates an abundant food source, they won't leave it. Sometimes they will stay at that spot for years, steadily growing to gigantic proportions, like this one. Though this specimen has the look of a juvenile, it has fully developed reproductive abilities and can achieve impressively high birth rates. Its offspring, however, are the same size of a typical sheargrub. Best enjoyed when big and round and full of eggs. Salt lightly, then grill. The squishy, sticky mouthful feel will have you coming back for more. Nope. I'm good on that, Louie. I'm good. The shearwig. It may be small, but it's full of vim and vigor. It hovers midair and then zips straight to its target. Once it has a prey in its jaw, it locks tight and won't let go. The shearwig, a cunning and fierce survivor, has a death grip on my heart and soul. Usually for their genus, flying mandiblards have retained their wings. How unusual for their genus. I can read. However, only the males of this species can fly. Females of the species spend most of their lifespan underground. They do emerge for a period after maturation to spawn, but they never metamorphose. Grate this beast into a zest and whisk with sugar, cream, and chopped dark chocolate for a lusciously indulgent mousse that's a true culinary coup de grace. I would never think to do that. To put bug meat into a mousse. Louie's got issues. Sheer flea. If you find any of these busy little bouncers happily hopping around, try jumping in with them. If you do, they may come to find you for cuddles. They're such sweet little love bugs. That is not how you pronounce coop. Yes, I'm being overdramatic. You are more than fine. I'm bad at pronouncing. I believe it's French. I'm bad at French. I'm trying to learn though. The sensory hairs growing on this creature's orange body segments can detect body temperatures, movement, and carbon dioxide levels. It clings to its prey with its claw-like front legs and sucks their blood through pointed proboscis. Research has found that the shear flea can store energy created while contracting its bellows-like body in the elastic proteins located at the roots of its hind legs, allowing it to repeatedly jump very high. Its reproductive rates are rather explosive. A small group of egg-laying females can boon in a population of over 100 in a month's time. That is terrifying. Salty, sour, and sometimes sweet, the flavor changes depending on which living creature it's fed from most recently. Oh, the joust mites. I hate the joust mites. The eyeball-like pattern on its shell reminds me of my father's eyes, staring at me after we buried him in the sand at the beach. We dug him out immediately when he gave us that look. Makes it easy to imagine what an effective deterrent those staring eyes must be to natural predators like birds. We haven't really... That actually brings up a point. We haven't fought birds in Pikmin. We've mostly just been fighting insects and all of that. That... Oh boy. You dare raise the price of the pipe. How dare you, sir? For shame. The pipe has also been, disabled for this stream, my dude. If only because this is for the sake of preserving ASMR, sound alerts are just on full disabled. At least for now. That pipe is the only ASMR I need. Well, at least for this stream. But right now, that's kind of where we're at. It'll be back next stream, though. Others within this family wear their shells on their bellies. This one's shell functions more like a helmet. Its wings have atrophied into uselessness, so instead it burrows beneath the ground and pops out only to pierce prey with its needle-like proboscis and drain their bodily fluids. Asexual, thank you so very much for the follow. Welcome, traveler. Welcome. Your wife told me how sweet you were yesterday. Aww. Very sweet. But yes, welcome, traveler. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Yeah, I'll say for once again, this is not something that I normally do. This was a sub goal that was actually hit, and I am nothing if not a man of my word. But I do hope that you enjoy your time here regardless, and I hope you enjoy I hope you enjoy any streams that you come to afterwards. Larval joust mites remain underground for years, or even decades in some cases. Boil in the shell with a pinch of salt until bright red, and then serve piping hot with tartar sauce. Tartar sauce is not what I imagined you'd use for joust mites, but who am I to argue with Louis? Me. I will gladly argue with Louis. With a countenance like a little helmet wearing soldier, it zips up to set its sights from the sky, then strikes its target. This captivating critter is truly a pro. It's unfortunate that when it flies up in the air, you can't see the clever false eyes on the shell or its charming face anymore. It's a close relative to the original burronet species, but this variety of joustmite still has the use of its wings. Oddly, it still makes its habitat below ground and employs the same tactic of flying in wait before emerging to strike. The helmet protecting its head is functionally as hard as steel, due to waxy secretions in its pores that absorb and redirect any shocks it sustains. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing had a helmet that's as strong as steel. I know... I know that if you make clothing from spider webs, they're surprisingly strong. Insects might be tiny, but God, do they make some really fine products. Remove its shell, roast over a slow flame, and then grind the meat. Whisk the paste into an olive oil until emulsification. An extra dash of cumin lends some earthiness to this spicy salad dressing. Oop, excuse me there. The swooping snitch bug, my mortal enemy. And the mortal enemy of many a player regardless. If you were swept up and tossed away by those long dangling harps, I think you'd better understand what it feels like to be a Pikmin. A little courage is all you need to give it a try. Consider it a learning experience. The scarabhandids originally live on the ground, sporting poor developed vestigial wings. This species developed large antennae that can be used as makeshift wings. Scarabhandids are attracted to the sight of large groups of Pikmin in cavalry formation and will swoop down to seize them. However, Scarabhandids do not eat Pikmin, and they will drop any seized Pikmin after a short time. The reason for this behavior is unknown, but I look forward to future research in this area. They do it because they are jerks. Remove the wings. Marinate a well-marbled steak for several hours in a chipotle marinade, then charbroil to perfection. That is... Alright. Alright, did the skitter leave? This one is a master of disguise, provided the season is right. As a little fun game, try collecting a bunch of dried leaves, then shuffle Mr. Desiccated Skitterleaf in with. If you pick out a normal leaf, you lose. But if you pick this clever critter, you win big. Feeling lucky? I would not be feeling lucky. Oh, that's morbid. It is. The skitterling variant that resembles dead leaves, its legs have developed in specific ways. The front claws capture prey, while the flat hind legs are suited for running and swimming. Its highly tuned senses keep it still for any creature but Pikmin. Once it gets its claws on its prey, it doesn't easily let go. Recent research has revealed that its camouflage has a secondary purpose beyond hunting. Scavengers are fooled by its disguise into carrying its eggs, thereby expanding the population. No preparation needed to enjoy this flavorful beast. Its natural crunch gives way to an intriguing mouthfeel. I have no words for Louis. No words at all. Oh boy, the Dweevils! Huh. That perfectly polished crimson color, like something hand-finished by a true master craftsman, is a feast for the eyes. This brilliant color is actually made through layer upon layer of very fine fibers being stacked together. Nature is the most skilled crafter. Members of the Dweevil family are known for carrying objects of astounding size on their backs, and then mimicking them. The fiery Dweevil is one species in this family. Generally, this is a very gentle insect that feeds on grass nectars, but when faced with danger, the fiery Dweevil ignites flammable internal gases, juts out its jaw, and spews scorching flames. As this clearly makes it a rather dangerous insect, it is best not to linger directly in front of it. The search for a gourmet, high-protein salad topping alternative to bacon bits is over. Grind this spicy Dweevil into tiny micro chunks, then toss them generously over your salad to add instant flair and flavor. Will never stop saying I have concerns for Louis. We don't wake up every day feeling as good as we want to, but the bright, fruity color of this little charmer makes me feel like I've got my vitamins for the day. You might be able to loosen up your stiff muscles with this Dweevil's therapeutic electric shocks, too. Members of the Dweevil family, it seems like they just repeat. Okay. Nope, they don't repeat, just on that one. The anode Dweevil is one of the species. They seem to have no particular preference for which objects they carry on their backs, as they will carry anything they lift. They boost an internal organ that generates electrical charges, which the anode Dweevil releases when it senses danger. Raw anode Dweevil makes for an unforgettable sushi treat, but if it is not prepared by an expert hand with extracting precision, consumption could result in a jolting electrical explosion of apocalyptic proportions. So, it's like pufferfish sushi, except instead of poison, you run the risk of basically putting a taser on your tongue. Ugh. That does sound horrid. It's bewitching to behold the way it skitters around on those long, slender, lapis lazuli blue legs while carrying treasure on its back. If, in an excessive excitement, you reach out a hand to touch it, a startling splash will deter you. Be calm and quiet around this beastie. The Hydrodweevil is one of members of an insect family known for mimicking objects by carrying them on their backs. Several points of differentiation with other members of the species have been confirmed, such as body color and behavioral patterns. None of these suggest major deviations in the creature's genetic structure. This makes it clear that it is a relative of the family. When attacked by enemies, the Hydrodweevil spits out bodily fluids in response. Spacesuits corrode and oxidize when they come into contact with this liquid. That is terrifying. What kind of bodily fluids does this thing have that could corrode spacesuits? Inedible. Effects of consumption include uncontrollable uncontrollable arm flailing and enthusiastic dishwashing. Okay, that one caught me off guard. Oh, the ice-blown dweevil. It's always important to keep your cool, but my proximity to this frosty darling may be making me a bit too cold. Just one blow from this critter as it skitters about on its icy long legs is quite chilling indeed. Dweevils have varying body colors in response to their feeding habits. Each species feeds on different types of plants and small animals, so the symbiotic bacteria that create their pigmentation differ as well. The ice-blown dweevil lives in cold habitats. It spews frigid gas, so the workings of its symbiotic bacteria are dulled, and it retained its natural color, which is white. It's been confirmed that in more temperate climates where food that the fiery dweevil eats is readily available, the ice-blown dweevil's coloration is much peachier. That's really cute. I like that little detail. Soak the legs in fruit juice and freeze. Serve as a refreshing ice pop. No thanks, Louie. I think I'd rather just use reusable sticks for my ice pops. Is this another different color of dweevil? Not at all. You see here a fashion leader in the critter world. There was once a purple one as well, but this year's trendy color is green. Be sure to bring protective gear to see it through. This skittering sweetie can produce a toxic gas if threatened. The venom dweevil is known for carrying things on its back. Yay! These insects often carry the carcasses of other life forms on their backs. Apparently, this is not for the purpose of transporting them as food, but instead another example of their mimicry behavior. The venom dweevil produces two different chemical compounds within its body, which form poisonous gas when mixed and expelled. The gas is only used for self-defense. Exposure to even extreme heat doesn't seem to rid this creature of deposits of potent gas. It's probably best for everyone if you avoid eating this hazardous fare. So we found another creature that Louie won't eat. Shock and awe, we found two. The arachnode. It has an agreeable personality, and as long as its meal doesn't get caught in its web, it will sit there, curled up into a cuddly ball and waiting. Make a list and get them under your control to fight him. I plan to. Fully intend to. Uh, You'll have to throw some food or even yourself if you wish to see it moving. What a leisurely method of hunting. This spider-like creature has a distinctive yellow stripes on its on its black carapace. It spins webs in high-traffic areas and waits for prey to blunder into them. Unlike its relatives, the arachnorb and the dweevil family, it's ambisexual and has 8 legs. Some theorize that its gynandry, I can speak, is meant to aid in reproduction, though of course it cannot reproduce on its own. There's another theory that this species is in fact 2 organisms of opposing genders stuck together. But since no one has ever found a 4-legged, single-sexed specimen, this remains speculative. Pluck off the legs, crack open, and savor the meat inside. Dip them in soy sauce first for a nice mix of sweet and salty. Man, it still feels weird to see the word single-sexed specimen in a Nintendo game. That is wild. That is so weird. Baldy Longlegs. If you lie down and look up while this hulking creature is walking over, you'll be treated into an impressive view of its giant round body, soaring past like an orbiting planet. Of course, you may get squished flat by one of its massive feet and become a star yourself. A shaggy longlegs that has lost all its hair. It has similarities to the beady longlegs, but doesn't secrete wax from its exoskeleton, and thus lacks its cousin's unique patterning. The absence of wax also allows small insects to climb its legs without slipping. Its central orb splits horizontally, but researchers have yet to determine the significance of this difference. Not as tasty as it looks. Completely inedible. Oh, we found a third. Oh, this one. Having a body made of living cells, a metabolism, and the ability to produce offspring might have considered necessary traits to determine if something is truly alive. But this rapid-fire cannon blows away any conventional definitions. It is a machine and a creature. What a fascinating possibility. This species of arachnorb fuses with machinery at a crucial point in the maturation process, giving the ability to fire energy bursts from the launcher beneath its orbicular torso. However, the man-at legs itself is not in control of this weapon. Instead, the mechanical portions of its structure appear to... Oh. Soft Rookery, thank you so very much for the follow. Welcome, traveler. Welcome. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. It is, I will admit, this is not our normal content on stream, but I still hope you enjoy it nonetheless, uh, and I hope you enjoy whatever streams come after this. But still, thank you so very much for the follow. Instead, the mechanical portions of its structure appear to automatically acquire and attack enemies. One moment. Had to take another sip of my water. My throat was getting fairly dry. The man-at-legs has a gentle disposition, and as a member of the Arachnorb family, it has no natural enemies. It is particularly difficult to understand why the species would develop such awesome offensive capabilities, leading to rumors among the scientific community that it was the machinery that approached the Arachnorb and proposed the symbiotic relationship. Although the meat is a bit on the metallic side, the oil makes a mouth-watering gravy or a lubricative vinaigrette. Not what I expect to hear, but okay, Louis. Whatever you say. Groovy longlegs, we did them as well. The anode beetle. With this little darling, man's made salad out of motor oil. I can't tell if he's just an amazing cook or if he's an alchemist. Either way, that's impressive. With this little darling around, outer space's power problems are solved. These generate enough energy to light up the night and help people live comfortably on the most ravagingly hot or frigidly cold planets. It'll cost to feed them, but that's a minor detail. This specimen is a representative of the insect hybrid that uses electricity, in addition to glycogen for its energy. Although difficult to confirm due to their microscopic size, tiny hairs on the creature's legs cause the friction that generate the electrical charge. The electrical charge is processed by the creature's internal battery structure and then stored as an electrical field. As this field reaches critical levels, surplus electricity is emitted, resulting in a low voltage current that is transmitted between specimens. It can shock other creatures in the immediate vicinity. Considering the process, it can be surmised that the largest impetus to pack behavior is not so much for the synergistic effect of producing as a pack as it is to take advantage of this most effective means of group preservation. Drain the electrical charge before boiling. Although it is possible to eat an anode beetle while it is charged, doing so may result in an unpleasant, tingling sensation. And a posture check and a hydrate from Kirta. Ooh. And smooth with a trinity. Shiny boy must get you. No. This scuttling little one is a good luck talisman if you'd be happy to encounter. If you're fortunate enough to come upon one, make a wish before it leaves. The way its iridescent carapace changes color depending on the angle you view it from is so distracting that I often forget to wish for something. Flint beetles are known to hide in grass until approached, at which point they jump out and scurry around. These creatures keep undigested food pellets in their stomach to sustain themselves through the winter, but given the right stimulus, they will spit them out. Recent research has revealed that these pellets are enveloped in a membrane that seals and preserves them in a sterile, airtight environment. If kept at room temperature, it seems that this pellet membrane will keep its contents fresh for up to 6 months. The membrane may be from the same substance that gives the exoskeleton of the flint beetle its beautiful sheen. That is the most convoluted way for an insect to have a food vacuum, but I suppose it works. An essential flavor accentuator ingredient in gumbo and jambalaya. Also delicious in soups, broths, and marinades. Gumbo sounds good. I like a good gumbo hits different. The doodlebug. Whoa, that reeks. Yes, I know, I said jambalaya instead of jambalaya. I apologize. I'm bad at this. It reeks so bad. These uncouth little stinkers are always passing gas whenever and wherever, but it also means they're easy to track down. Of course, nobody can stand to get close if they do find one. It's a brilliant defense mechanism. Just busting my chops, that's entirely fair. While life forms that excrete foul musks to ward off danger are not rare, the doodlebug is the only species known to release flatulence when active above ground. Interesting enough, since it is merely releasing the gas created by the decay of the contents in the creature's intestines, it does not have a special musk-producing organ. This means the creature is in fact merely flatulating. Speculation analysis of the rank gas indicates that it does contain not only methane, but hydrogen sulfate as well, making the flatulence a grade 13 biohazard. That sounds terrifying. Looking for a flavor that'll surprise and delight your guests? This beast's aroma may surprise your guests, but it won't be delightful. The iridescent glint beetle. The gold shine of its gleaming carapace really is gold. It's like this little darling's nature is to collect gold from the soil. As you might expect, it's extremely rare to see one in person. I'd never heard it, so I hope I have one appear before me someday. This variety of beetle consumes subterranean minerals. Due to the fact that it rarely emerges from the ground, sightings of this particular species are extremely rare. While minerals are this beast's primary source of food, the beetle itself does not have the ability to digest these minerals. Instead, metabacteria living inside the beetle's stomach chemically break down the minerals. The resulting purified metal is discharged, but rare metals such as gold and platinum crystallize onto the iridescent beetle shell, resulting in the beautiful laminated shimmer. This rare, precious treat is exceptionally rare. I could sell it back at home for a fortune. Then I could use the cash to upgrade my kitchen, buy galactic class ingredients, and even star in my own cooking show, The Insect Gourmet. A rare case where we don't actually see, we see a little bit of Louis, and not the hunger behind him. The Mimite. The cheeky Mimite lays its eggs inside the eggs of other creatures to provide its offspring with an easy first meal. When they come wriggling and squiggling out, it's spine-chilling. But you can't blame the newly hatched larva. After all, you might enjoy an egg or two yourself now and then. These parasitic insects feed on eggs. Upon reaching maturity, they excrete a special pheromone that attracts females of a particular species, enticing these females to swallow the Mimite's whole. Pikmin, however, seem to dislike the scent. After entering the host's female body, the Mimites lay their own eggs inside the host's eggs, just prior to the host spawning. That is absolutely devious. But an effective way. The music in the Piklopedia is so pretty. That is actually music that I am playing on Spotify. It is Emotions by Milkoy. I will show them off at the end of the stream. It's just a nice little nearly 2-minute ditty. I thought it'd be something nice and easy to play. Flash fry with garlic and red chilies in a hot pan. Then sprinkle in some grated gorgonzola. Some dinner guests may find the legs unappealing, so it's best to remove them before serving. The Scutterchuck. Watching it move around on the very tips of its tippy toes is like watching a ballet. If you offer to be a dance partner for this little spiky-toed sweetie, it may leap high into the sky. I bet this agile little creature will have no trouble sticking the landing. Its main offensive strategy is to launch the crystal it carries on its back. Otherwise, it's completely defenseless. In most circumstances, it's a peaceful herbivore whose diet consists primarily of moss. When in danger, however, it wastes no time defending its territory by breaking small rocks and hurling them at the threat. In order to ensure it has a steady supply of rocks to which to defend itself with, it shares its habitat with a calcified crushblat larva, so it can make use of the shells they cast off. An acquired taste, but it really is quite addictive once you get used to it. No special preparation necessary. I don't like how you say that, Louis. Especially since you don't list how to cook it. The Skeeter Skate. Clean water is unnecessary for this water-walking sweetheart. It has a lot of that as well. In water soiled with oils, detergents, and other pollutants, it could lose the surface tension that supports its specifically evolved feet and drown. This is an extraordinary creature that can only exist on such a water-rich planet. It skates around on water at high speed thanks to its tiny hairs on the tips of its feet. These hairs are coated in an ultra hydrophobic substance to minimize friction against the water's surface. Its long proboscis features as a straw to take in water, and it is stored in a reservoir in its head, as well as to spout it as a weapon against small insects. While taking in water, it also takes in microscopic plankton, meaning that its prime means of defense is also a feeding mechanism. They look so cool. They do. The Pikmin creatures in this game, like, Pikmin never fails to have, like, really interesting looking creatures. That's one of the reasons I love this little series. It's every creature feels so distinct and unique. I love them. The extremities cannot be used for food, but you can drink the liquid inside for a zesty beverage. I don't like that, Louie. The mucker skate. This cautious critter moves in fits and starts. When it does, the muddy liquid in its transparent orb sloshes around. Splish, splash, splosh. If I could observe this unique anatomy up close, I'd have no regrets, even if I did get splattered with mud. A subspecies of skitter skates that's adapted to life in muddy wetlands. It uses its straw-like proboscis, the inside of which is packed with densely grown hair, to capture any plankton living in the mucky water and filter out everything else. When an enemy approaches, it will threaten them by shooting out a murky substance. The combination of muddy water and gastric juices has a higher viscosity, so it can essentially bury Pikmin and a lot of other stuff in dirt. Even after draining the mud, its texture will remain chewy. Well, gritty. Chew it for long enough and your teeth will start get a good scrubbing. So what you're saying is chewable toothbrushes. Now you're speaking my language, Louie. White spectralids. In the same way it stomps on a petal when flitting around in a garden full of flowers in bloom, it will alight without hesitation on things like a sleeping bellborb. What an audacious little daredevil! It's remarkably similar to its unmarked brethren, but the telltale wing patterns and lone pair of hind legs give it away. It sticks to its own habitat for the most part, although it may fly away to reach a flower or escape a bullblacks. It will soon return to its home. The white variety gathers no nectar, but sometimes can be found carrying raw materials. Yeah, the little spectralids, they're the butterflies. Remove the wings and drop straight into the deep fryer. Cook until golden or until the enticing aroma starts to sting your eyes. Serve immediately. Why would you do that? They look so beautiful. Yellow spectralids. After flitting around all over the place, the wing beats of a little spectralid can cause a tornado on the other side of the world. Or so some have said. I wonder how much of this influence do these charmers have on our being this planet right now? The primary morphology difference between other spectralids is the eye-like spots on its hind wings. The offspring has a 25% chance of inheriting these spots on an orange-colored wings. Would this count as a new subspecies? Questions to be answered, Olimar. For a tasty appetizer, dip the wings into a batter and fry. Could also can also be used to season stews and soups. Remember to first remove its bitter innards. And red spectralids. My personal favorites. They kind of look like Volcarona a little bit. Spectralid wings have a lot of fine powder on them. By building up on many different layers, it gives them a sparkle with complexity and depth. This fine little fellow's powder also has some ultra spicy essence for a zestier effect. Its red wings have several spots, unlike the lone spot on each wing of the yellow variety. Its scales contain trace amounts of ultra spicy flakes, which are mixed into its saliva as it sucks up the nectar from flowers. The combined flakes, saliva, and nectar are refined into ultra spicy nectar inside the creature, which it uses as a growth supplement for its eggs. Despite this, its reproductive capabilities are rather quite low. It is for this reason that the red variety fetches astronomical prices among collectors. Spread the larva on a slice of toast for a spicy and protein-packed breakfast, or fry the wings at any time of the day for a sweet and crunchy snack. So Louie's the reason why they're so rare. Good to know. Oh, the snowflake fluttertail. Please don't call it a flying snowman. The sight of it flying around with its magnificent wings, scattering snow like diamonds, evokes thoughts of a snowy sprite. Witness this beauty of nature, and let it soothe away all of your woes and anxiety. I love this little thing. This is one of my favorite new creatures that they added. The cooling cycle on its body uses ammonia as a refrigerant to chill the moisture it absorbs from the air until it reaches a supercooled state. By then spraying it out of several vents on its body, the snowflake fluttertail creates a delicate cocoon out of ice to both protect itself and freeze its prey. Its rolled up, spirally proboscis evolved from an upper jaw and can catch and tie up prey with its fine hairs on its surface. Though it mimics a type of swallowtail butterfly, this creature is actually more closely related to moths. One might extrapolate that its ancient ancestor was unable to adapt to the cooling climate and therefore went extinct. Dice it finely or puree to make a meaty sorbet. Add a little drizzle of fruit sauce for some punch. Plunk the wings and antenna beforehand and use as a garnish if you want to get fancy. Louis, you concern me greatly and forever. Oh, this right pain in my butt. The creeping chrysanthemum. Let's have a creeping chrysanthemum show, why don't we? We'll gather hand-raised creeping chrysanthemums and have a contest based on size, flower color, things like that. They're half animals, so they have a behavior category too. Of course, how could the judges ever choose a winner? Each specimen is beautiful in its own way. Like Pikmin, the creeping chrysanthemum is a member of a group of creatures with ambulatory root structures. This creature is known as a mimic, but because of the actual form of a plant, this label is not entirely accurate. It uses its mimicry to lie in wait and to ambush prey, unrecognized even by Pikmin despite being members of the same class of organisms. It relies on preying upon other creatures to provide sustenance, so it has no need of leaves for photosynthesis. Generally speaking, the role of plants within an ecosystem as a provider species, and thus plants are generally found at the bottom of the food pyramid. However, on this strange planet, the line between producer plants and consumer plants is blurred. When thinly sliced, this predator's sizable bulb makes a scrumptious pizza topping. Yeah. The startle spore. These don't just mimic a growth of mushrooms for fun of catching you by surprise. They also use the opportunity to spread poison around quite indiscriminately. But that's just the little darling's idiosyncratic method for catching its prey. We could learn from such ways of nature embraces such unique and varied creatures. The defining characteristics of the fungi that grow from its head differ from that of the chrysanthemum's family creeping chrysanthemum. Try saying that 5 times fast. But the makeup of the body out of which they grow is mostly the same. As a result, we can theorize that they follow the Imbulus radix, the bulb. Wait, they mentioned the bulbmen! What? I didn't think I thought they swept them under the rug. No! Oh. The species is not an evolutionary variation, but that the body is a parasite that has nested inside a group of mushrooms. Because the hosts are mushrooms, the startle spore cannot photosynthesize. Instead, it gains nutrients by catching its prey with highly poisonous fluids, or by absorbing the nectar in the ground left behind as a creature is killed by its poison decompose. If you can successfully remove the tongue's poison glands, you'll enjoy a rare opportunity to appreciate the umami synergy of the mushroom and meat combo. Ooh. It's everybody's favorite, the bread bug. It looks like your breakfast table's longtime staple, a loaf of bread with the perfect color and buttery shine. Just looking at it, I swear the aroma of baking wafts past my nose. But you've never seen your bread loafing around like this. If you observe them for a while, I press down. If you observe them for a while, you might catch them dragging things around with their mouths. It's heart-meltingly adorable. The adult breadbug competes for many of the same food sources as Pikmin, but its thick skin hide allows it to withstand most Pikmin group attacks. However, some researchers claim to have observed breadbugs being overwhelmed by mass numbers of Pikmin and reduced to food. Ugh. What a way to go. Breadbugs are hearty and nutritious, but also bland and unimaginative. They may be palatable in a pinch, but they hold no true culinary promise. And the giant bread bug, look at him. My baby. Perfectly cooked, golden brown, and fluffy. It must be freshly baked loaf of bread. Oh, my mistake. This is the wildly unique giant bread bug, with the texture and vibrancy only a living creature can possess. Don't let your eyes and gut deceive you. This lumbering muffin might just take the offense if you mistake it for a loaf of fresh bread. This gargantuan species of greater breadbug family has a torso so perfectly square, it almost seems like it was formed in a mold. For a brief period after birth, the giant breadbug competes for food with smaller breadbugs, but upon reaching maturity, seeks out much larger prey. This is the primary reason the two species with similar feeding habits can coexist in the same habitat. Hordes of Pikmin appear to pose the only plausible threat to this massive creature's life. Although cooking this colossal beast yields a mountain of meat, every ounce of it is absolutely flavorless. It is only suitable for intergalactic, all-you-can-eat buffets. Can't say they didn't try. Gilmandy. Gildmandui. With one little gold-covered stone on its back, it toddles about, lantern flickering cheerfully. It doesn't intentionally deceive Pikmin or our sensors. They just respond to that gold-colored stone. Only the adults tend to be intentionally deceptive, in this world or any other. Immediately after hatching, this species presents itself a gilded, tadpole-like form, grows its legs after about a week. This juvenile Guildmander specimen is estimated to be about 1 month old due to the presence of an ore-like growth on its back, and the fact that it has already emerged onto land. The living ore has a substance similar to treasure within it. A particular scent, it has an effect on both sensors and Pikmin. However, the lantern organ on its head is also underdeveloped and can only emit a very faint electromagnetic waves. For this reason, juvenile Guildmanders often hide out of sight to avoid Pikmin attacks. Heat the golden crystals on its back until they melt into a caramel sauce. Flip the creature upside down and bake until the skin develops a crunchy, candied crust. It almost makes me think that the crystals are that the gold is sugar crystals. The Guildmander. Notice the gold sparkles on its back? In order to survive, this delight of a creature spends a mind-boggling amount of time collecting those special gold stones. Though it isn't real gold, it can confuse the sensors. That's another marvel of the natural world for you. The ore-like growth on its back is a coagulated bodily fluid that includes a substance similar to sparklium, which can make our mechanical sensors go berserk, to use the technical term. This living ore emits a scent that allures the creature's prey, so it's also important to their feeding process. The lantern-like organ atop its head emits electromagnetic waves that are known to affect Pikmin and onions, confusing them into thinking the Guildmander is their leader, allowing it to withdraw Pikmin directly from the onion. However, it cannot go so far as to command them as a squad, so the Pikmin will often hide under cover and are able to avoid ingestion. The meat gives off a faint aroma similar to a hot pepper. The flavor itself is subtle and elegant. Char grill the lantern until blackened, and you've got a nutritional superfood. The snoot whacker. The way it catches its food, protects its belly, and gets up while working with the weight of its sizable trunk are all taught by its diligent parents. Instead of hand and foot, they attend to their offspring nose and foot. They prepare the child for the day it will leave the nest, and eventually become a parent itself. Immediately after birth, the species' skin starts to harden, and before long it will reach the same impenetrable toughness of that of an adult. Adult snoot whackers dexterously use their trunks to grab food from high tree branches, but juveniles consume the fruits and nuts that have fallen to the ground, as well as other types of terrestrial flora. This species' legs and torso muscles are underdeveloped compared to those of their nose, so they lack the strength to maintain their posture and easily lose their balance. Gently peel back the skin from the nose. Its meat has a grassy bitterness. Tastes like cucumber. That would be such a textural nightmare. Imagine biting into a piece of meat and it tastes like a cucumber. But you know it's meat. The mammoth snoot whacker. If you get close, it'll whip its trunk around and around and smash it on the ground. It might be a chance for you to get an exciting jump rope workout. If you try throwing a bomb at it, it'll use that dexterous trunk and shoot it right back at you. Those are some nose skills that can impress any athlete. The long nose on this specimen has neither bone nor cartilage, but is made entirely of muscle and can be flexibly curved and extended. Its tough hide consists of densely layered collagen lactate. Latices that cover almost its entire body, leaving only the regular skin on its belly exposed. The fully developed trunk is large and rather heavy, so the mammoth snoot whacker usually rolls it inward and carries it close to its center of gravity. But if its territory is invaded, it will extend the trunk and flail it around, even using it to strike a perceived enemy. Like a juvenile snoot whacker, their nose comprises of a disproportional amount of their body weight, resulting in poor balance. If attacked from behind or from the side, even an adult of the species is easily knocked over. Pleasurable sail, thank you so very much for the follow. Welcome, traveler, welcome. Glad to have you. This isn't my normal type of content, as I've said for all the other people who started following today. But still, I hope you enjoy the content today, and I hope you enjoy whatever content comes next. Geared up with a stretch. Ooh. Ooh. The bitter flavor fades as they grow, replaced by a sweet, mellow aroma. Stew the base of the trunk, grill the middle, or smoke the tip. The possibilities are endless. Time check, it is about 9 o'clock our time. I do see that. Oh my god, we're not even halfway over. Oh wait, are we? 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. Yeah, we're closing in towards the end. We'll probably go till about 10. Huh, I didn't know you could do that. the Sun Squish. This particular little button has the perfect texture and coloration to pass as an egg fried sunny side up by a master chef. There's nothing about it that makes it seem threatening, and it looks so yummy. I can't help thinking of a delicious breakfast when I see it. A type of primitive organism called a protochordite. In its juvenile state, it has a skeleton-like structure called a notochord. It flaps its fin tail to move and lives within other creatures' eggs as it grows. As its body develops, it starts to exhibit mollusk-like qualities, but its highly exposed external stomach can directly digest prey on contact and can be used for locomotion. Season with salt and pepper. Louis, never change. The Fulix. If you take the microorganisms I used to peer through my microscope as a child and blow them up much, much bigger, this is what you get. A huge, single-celled sweetie. It blorbidly sloshes around in search of food. To this giant, we're all microorganisms. A member of the Gulix family. This primitive life form is made up of a single cell, which is uniquely odd given its size. Its nucleus is shaped like a bulbous star. Individuals move by using the fin at the end of its flagellum-like tail to quickly extend and contract its gelatinous body. If the nucleus is removed, its soft body loses all structure and splatters. But as long as the nucleus is still alive, the Fulix can return to its original form. Usually, the Fulix can mimic nectar and wait for its prey. Its gel, which includes fire-extinguishing fluids, will then expand to capture and feed on unsuspecting organisms. Gently remove the jellied parts. Add fruit and a sweetener of your choice, and serve as a gelatin dessert. That actually sounds kind of good, actually. The downy snagret. The sight of the sweet one boinging around and pecking at its food, all while skillfully balanced on its one leg, is truly awe-inspiring. If you get too close, it might feel vulnerable and give you a warning peck with its beak, or it might just turn to you for comfort. Due to a common phenomenon known as imprinting, this baby will recognize anything that it sees or hears within a given time after it hatches as its parent, and consequently follows it around. However, the downy snagret has two specific conditions for imprinting. First is that the target must be tall and blue. The second is related to the sound of its cry. That means that it will never make the mistake with something as small as we are, and will instead recognize it, or us, as food. Since it is still a fledgling, the downy snagret does not go underground to feed. Instead, it stays on the surface where there is plenty of food. It looks harmless enough, but beware, its parents may be hiding nearby, till the baby is old enough to fend for itself. Grind up the meat and cartilage and then mold into meatballs. The tender texture of the meat contrasts nicely with the crunchy, chewy cartilage bit. Nope, I'm good without that. The burrowing snagret. Instead of the sky, this scaly anomaly flies through the ground. When it pops its head out of the surface, the way its crown of feathers fluffs, though intended to make it more intimidating, is delightful to behold. But be wary of lingering to gaze at it all, as you'll likely get the poking of a lifetime from that long, sharp beak. The majority of snagret species lie in wait to ambush and capture prey, with a body that perfectly adapted to such sudden strikes. It violently attacks small surface-dwelling insects. Distributed across a relatively wide range, subspecies of snagrets suited for the varying soil conditions have emerged, making the snagret the most geographically represented species, besides the bulborb. Visually resembling the burrowing snagret is the burrowing snarrow, the range of which partially overlaps with the snagret's range. While the two may appear similar, when pulled from the ground, they can be distinguished by the presence of an absence of tail and wing markings. Slice the serpentine torso into thin medallions, skewer on a metal rod with hocotate onions, and barbecue over an open flame. Actually doesn't sound too bad. The wattlequaff. Oh, I don't like that name. It possesses a bottomless stomach and will swallow down anything and everything unfortunate enough to end up in its path. It will even consume things larger than its own body without missing a step. The best part is its goofy little head will look like a fuzz-covered gourd. Its overdeveloped respiratory muscles will allow it to suck in large volumes of air through its long, thick beak while feeding. Its feathers are too small to use for flying. The current theory is that it is due to the niche position in the ecosystem being quite secure thanks to the lack of natural predators and little competition for food in its habitat. Breasts, thighs, and wings can be roasted, baked, or fried. The rest of the carcass is great for flavoring a rich soup stock. The scorch cake. In a way, it looks like the kind of tasty treat. Oop, Jad with the hydrate, thank you very much for that. But in actuality, this birding bivalve relative is a fierce hunter, squashing its prey with a fiery flourish. The beauty of its popping, crackling flames and the dynamic cartwheels it can perform in battle is a spectacle to behold. This is such a chill stream. I agree. Is nice. No going all out, no crazy anything. Just nice little reading of notes. I like it. Relative to bivalves, it uses its internal muscles to dexterously manipulate its upper and lower shells. This ability allows it to squash eggs and small amulerites like pigment, thus returning nectar to the ground. It then feeds off the microorganisms and moss that benefit from the nectar. To further facilitate the growth of its food, the scorched cake will secrete oils from its body through its shell and onto the ground. It then sets that area on fire, perhaps as a way to improve soil fertility. Remove the internal meat and place directly on the shell while it's still smoldering to cook. It almost smells better than it tastes. The shot cake. I don't think I remember fighting this thing. We must have. It's here in the Piklopedia. Huh. I guess I just don't remember fighting one. Living creatures can sense your intent and emotions, so if you face them with love in your heart, they'll know it. When you love and are loved back, even the occasional electrical shock isn't so bad. I think I do. I'm not sure. That's right. Instead of play biting, this sweetie does play shocking. It can zap away shoulder stiffness and fatigue in a flash. Oh, how I would love that. This species has muscular organs that can create electricity by using ion gradients within densely layered rows of electrical generating cells, which are arranged in asymmetrical series. It uses its plug-like protrusions to instantly shock its prey, and then squashes it. The squash prey acts as fertilizer, improving the quality of soil so that the microorganisms and moss that the shock cake feeds on can thrive. Sauté in butter and cover with sauce made from a green liver paste. Anyone with a highly developed palate can enjoy the slightly bitter flavor profile. The freeze cake. The way its blue white shell is woven through the cracks make it look like a porcelain coaster. What's more, it's cold enough to keep your drinks chilled. Of course, this remarkable critter is much more alive and would flop your drink right over. By emitting frigid air from one side of its shell, it can freeze and squash any prey that approaches too close. Food can be hard to find in extremely cold climates, so one theory is that this species has developed some kind of mechanism that allows it to store its prey for long periods of time. The meat under the icy side of the shell is quite muscular, while the other side is nice and fatty. Two great tastes in one. The puff stool! Come, let us ponder the puff stool. This devious little bean releases spores that have a hallucinogenic effect on Pikmin. At first inhale, affection sprouts, and they are drawn in closer. Thus, they breathe in more and more of the confusion-inducing spores. Soon, they think of nothing but the puff stool as they jump around and boing, boing, boing. A type of ambulofungus. The current working theory is that the puff stool evolved from a more common species of fungus that gained animal-like characteristics over time, including the ability to walk. And then, when it senses danger, it will scatter spores from under its cap, releasing a hallucinogen that confuses its attackers. The hallucinogenic compound in the spores is only effective against the species' natural enemy, the Pikmin, causing them to mistake it for their leader. Pikmin who fall in line to this trap are then used as workers to maintain nutrition or defenses for the puff stool. Flip upside down and cook the cap over a charcoal grill, low and slow. Once it starts to sweat, it's ready to eat. Alright, did the toadstool? The moldy dwarf bulborb. Picture this scenario. Like this poor darling, you're conscious but no longer in control of your own body. Someone or something has taken you over. A horrifying concept, isn't it? But what if the thing controlling you couldn't live if it didn't do that? Sometimes it's simply a matter of survival. This is an example of a young bulborb's body that's been infected by a fungal filaments. Now a host, it unconsciously continues to seek out and ingest food, all while scattering large amounts of spores out the spore sacs on its back until it can no longer move. After all host body function ceases, the specimen mutates into a fungal culture that eventually becomes a juvenile toadstool. Ooh. Oop. Tastes best if eaten just before the meat spoils. Once all the mold has been removed, enjoy a unique flavor reminiscent of dry-aged meat. No, thank you. I'm good, Louie. The moldy slooch. Wait, do we? Yep. Want to make sure I didn't skip over anything. Slugga, slugga, choo choo. Here comes the fungal spore train. The miasma emitting from the fungus on its back has toadstool spores in it. If you must observe it, do so from afar as possible, or risk ending up as a fungal choo-choo too. Both the nervous system and slime-producing organ of the species have been invaded by fungal filaments, which is why it scatters spores as it moves. It also shakes spores onto other creatures, thus infecting them, infecting new hosts and expanding the toadstool's range and habitat. Once the host body ceases to function, it can no longer serve as a fungal culture medium between its bodily fluids drying up and the corpse shrinking. At that point, the host body is abandoned. After removing the poison, the broth is fragrant and savory. Don't drink too much, or you'll find yourself with a cripply tummy ache. Mold is such an interesting thing, IRL. It is. It is so... Some of it's good, some of it's bad, depending on where it is. It's so weird. The pyroplasmic slooch. The mucus of the pyroplasmic slooch acts as a natural fire starter, but it also seems to serve as insulation from the heat. Gazing into those flickering flames at night would be a great way to relax, and the ripple pattern going from top to bottom is so mesmerizing. I love doing mold lessons at school, but I need some more clear leftover containers. One day. Species of terrestrial snail coated in flammable mucus instead of the traditional shell. The creature stays lubricated through constant secretion of mucus, so the fire never reaches its skin. The most fascinating aspect of these creatures is their instinctive ability to avoid causing widespread fires by carelessly brushing plants. Remove the tongue and discard the rest. Cook over a charcoal grill until medium rare. The bearded amp rat. This little cutie has a long beard that makes it look very curmudgeonly. But if you were to try brushing it, do so with caution. This dear one will, well, see for yourself. Move in close to get a good look. A truly shocking experience awaits you. The hair covering its face works as a capacitor. It charges electricity by rubbing its hair to build static, and then discharges it at the enemy intruding on its territory. It's more territorial than aggressive, attacking only when threatened rather than to hunt prey. It has several qualities unique to this ecosystem. I can't believe this isn't a Nintendo game, and a sentence I have to read out loud. It has several qualities unique to this ecosystem, such as breastfeeding its young, which may someday give rise to a whole new taxonomy of fauna here. That is not a sentence I expected to read tonight. Oh, gods. Pan roast the thighs with sprigs of rosemary and whole garlic cloves. Finish with a squeeze of fruit juice to highlight the subtle notes of lingering electricity. The Mamuda. A gentle creature removed from the fierce competition of the strong eating the weak. It sits in gardens in a pool of sunlight, looking content as it gazes out of its big round eyes at a plant it has sprayed since it's starting to sprout. Don't tease this mild-mannered beastie by messing with its delicate sprouts it's tending to. The imbalanced, asymmetrical arms of the Mamuda are among the most notable features. Feeding on seeds and fruit, the Mamuda is known to actually sow and grow plant species. while other species have exhibited seed-bearing behavior for the purpose of storage. The Mamuta is the only species so far known to actually cultivate fields of plants. Inedible. Tastes like chicken. Yeah, the Mamuta doesn't really want to doesn't enjoy fighting. They just want plants. I will admit, it feels weird to do that. To like pop out 100 Pikmin with one whistle blow. Alright, how many more creatures are there left? There's a decent number. We've been going for nearly 3 hours. I feel like we're probably gonna end it here soon. But I feel like, if nothing else, let's go over the little stars of the show. The red Pikmin. These peppy little darlings are a vivid scarlet red. As you can tell by their appearance, these critters are very passionate. In fact, they're such hotheads that they're immune to fire. Even their displays of affection are ardent. They'll beat their little fists on you in an abundance of enthusiasm. Pikmin are a part of the Ambulorus class, which consists of creatures that exhibit both plant and animal characteristics. A Pikmin will instinctively follow whoever plucks it from the ground, so it is quite common for them to form symbiotic relationships with another species, or accept a leader of a different species, as it serves the goal of propagating their own species as a whole. The red Pikmin is the most common Pikmin species. It can be identified by the nose-like protrusion on its head and its highly aggressive behavior. It also has a few surprising and unique qualities. For example, its immunity to extreme heat and fire, despite the fact that it's a living organism. This can be explained by looking directly at the skin and muscle fibers, which are made of a fire-resistant cellulose. Looks like a pick carrot. I bet it tastes good, but I'm practicing self-restraint. Louis knows. He knows if he tries, he's gonna get his butt kicked. Yellow Pikmin. Look at the extraordinary big pointy ears on the adorable yellow Pikmin. I doubt you can whisper a secret they won't hear. Try throwing one. They can easily retrieve objects for you from places you can't reach. Also, electricity doesn't faze them at all. They're shockingly useful little guys. It's believed that the Pikmin body was originally the root of a plant that evolved over centuries, if not millennia, developing structures analogous to muscles, neural networks, and similar to those of a brain, and more. However, yellow Pikmin possess a perfect resistance to electricity, a force that actually poses extreme danger to other organisms. Oddly enough, this species of Pikmin actually seem to enjoy electricity. Their flowers even bloom when they are exposed to an electrical current. This fact could lead to one to believe that their neural transmitter methods are quite different from our own. This species also uses ear-like lamellae on its head to soar at great heights and to dig holes. When I look at it, all I see is ears. blue Pikmin. It wouldn't be overstating to say that watching these Pikmin navigate the water with grace of a fish is one of the most lovely things to behold on this whole planet. But if you really want to see them swimming, you'll need to offer them some live bait. The accepted theory that the Pikmin evolved from terrestrial root vegetables, and so would be unable to breathe underwater, and subsequently drown. Yet the blue Pikmin possess a gill resembling a mouth on their head, which enables them to act underwater. While on land, they leaf and flower like any other Pikmin species, but they breathe through their stomata on their skin, indicating they must be naturally amphibious. Pigment proteins on the surface of their body essentially perform the same photosynthetic process as cyanobacteria, which, for example, is what gives them their striking color. I look at that mouth and just want to put my hand in it, just to see what would happen. Gray Pikmin. Gray Pikmin are rugged and craggy in appearance, and their well-polished skin is smooth and cool to the touch. Those dark gray stone-like bodies are built for defense, and they're capable attackers too. Did you notice those stubby little legs? Aren't they just the cutest? This species is definitely a member of the Pikmin genus, but its body does not share any of the plant-like traits that Pikmin are known for. Instead, it's composed primarily of stone. The stone is actually the chosen host for a parasitic subset of Pikmin nicknamed Hermikin. Similar to how a seed can sprout and push through the cracks of a rock, the Pikmin's roots stretch deep into the stone, storing its vital organs in the interior cavity that resembles a crystal geode. Because the species displays characteristics common in parasitism, one could hypothesize that gray Pikmin and gray candy pop buds stockpile stone that will eventually host the gray Pikmin. I think I broke a tooth on one of these. He deserves it for trying. Pink Pikmin. These particular little flyers look like they're wearing goggles. Don't be put off by their odd appearance, though. Places like that seem like dead ends, such as treacherous roads, lakes, swamps, and sheer cliffs are nothing to them when they're not carrying anything. With a few flops of their tiny wings, they flit through the air like fierce fairies. So cute. Yeah, no, I love pink Pikmin. They're like my favorite. They're my favorite. The wings on the back of this flying Pikmin species closely resembles the wings you could find on a flying creature. It is possible that an ancient pink onion somehow absorbed a flying creature's DNA, which then resulted in the precursor to the pink Pikmin transforming into the species we recognize today. If this theory is correct, then onions might be able to serve as a role of messenger, transmitting new traits and characteristics to their Pikmin. I once had a dream that I was abducted by a winged specimen. He had it coming. Cyan Pikmin. With the frigid air welling up endlessly from inside their icy bodies, they can freeze anything at all. If you throw enough of them in a pond, they'll freeze the surface so solidly you can walk right across. They're just like little ice wizards. Aww. Pikmin supposedly evolved from plants, and yet there are also Pikmin species with bodies made of ice, known as Cyan Pikmin. How is this possible? The answer to this question lies in the fact that Cyan Pikmin are parasitic by nature, and the ice serves as their host. The composition of this type of ice is, predictably, mostly water, but it resembles a saline solution with faint concentrations of sodium ions. potassium ions and calcium ions that functions as neural transmitters. Interestingly, the ice exhibits no visual signs of melting or dripping when exposed to sunlight. This is due to its low temperature core, which continually creates more ice in order to maintain a consistent size. A kitchen essential used for freezing ingredients and storing leftovers. Of course. White Pikmin. These tiny white Pikmin can dart around quite swiftly. Their bold red eyes are charming as they are startling. Like a flower that has sharp thorns, these cute little ones possess a potent poison. Such small critters need to be tough to survive. White Pikmin are born through a color-changing process within white candy pop buds, which only grow underground. The poison within its body is a type of the ditrobene alkaloid similar to a toxin found in certain plant roots. If ingested, it can lead to vomiting, respiratory distress, and complete organ failure, ultimately resulting in death due to cardiac arrest. Though strong, this poison has medicinal uses, sometimes going by the name aconite. Pikmin are amulets and evolved from plants, but it seems some species retain more of their plant-based evolutionary heritage than others. Not meant to be ingested, best used as bait. Don't you dare do that to the babies. They babies. Purple Pikmin. It's profoundly heavy feeling holding a living thing in your arms. The babies. I just noticed the purple Pikmin's scientific name is Pikminidae yokozunum. I love that for some reason. It can be overwhelming to realize this thing is really alive. That said, these little ones have a density to them that makes them extremely heavy. To hold them at all is difficult, but don't worry. They're strong enough that they can hold you. Slightly larger in size, purple Pikmin weigh as much up to 10 Pikmin can weigh up to 10 times as much as other Pikmin species. And when thrown to the ground, their impacts create gravitational waves that can actually warp space-time. That's astonishing. The density of their muscle fibers is also much higher than that of other Pikmin, allowing them to transport 10 times as much weight as their average-sized counterparts. Their rich purple color is derived from strong polyphenol antioxidants. Like white Pikmin, they are born from underground candy pop buds, and no related onions have been discovered so far. But I think somewhere deep underground, among the relics of the past, a purple onion is waiting to be discovered. Very heavy, tenderizing the meat would be way too difficult. And finally, the limes. Here you are, far from home, stranded on a Did we find a purple onion? We did! We did! You can even see it in the onion. We found reds, blues, yellows, grays, pinks, purples, and whites. All of them are home now. Here you are, stranded on the strange planet with a night even more dangerous than the unforgiving day. But in that night, the faint, gentle glow, like given off by these glorious glowing little beams, brings hope to our adventures. I love that they actually refer to them as little beans. They need to give us green for the next one, that way we can keep the onion for a real rainbow. I would love that. I want a green onion. that shine as the beacon of light that we recognize in our hearts. Although they've been named lime Pikmin, it's not entirely clear whether or not the species is actually a type of Pikmin. These creatures possess the same fundamental behaviors of Pikmin, like carrying things, propagating, and fighting. They also share special characteristics such as the leaf atop of their heads. Yet they do not spawn from an onion, but a luminol, and they are only active at night or underground. During the day, they revert into seeds and enter a resting state. Imagine a divergent evolution of Pikmin. That would be so cool. What's even more surprising is that they exhibit no signs of life. When a lime Pikmin dies, if that is the word that can even be used, it does not expire in the typical sense. Instead, it just becomes a form of light, or perhaps a photon, and returns to the luminol. Putting aside my scientist hat for a moment, it seems to me that this creature or entity may not be a living organism at all, but some matter of spiritual substance. Pikmin that are mermaids? Ooh, I mean, that would probably be like really closely related to blue Pikmin, but that still would be really cool. Doesn't smell alive. And the last one. Dog. Ochi and Moss are two peas in a pod. It's quite unprecedented that a space dog should meet a similar creature in a far-off, unknown planet. You could even call it miraculous. Could they be siblings separated at birth? No, that's just not possible. As far as I can tell, Moss has been a leafling pup since birth, and some of her DNA resembles that of a Pikmin. This is one point in which she differs from Ochi. When Ochi transformed from a standard space dog into a leafling pup, I start to theorize that the Pikmin are, in some capacity, propagating their DNA into other organisms. The phenomenon in which all those castaways, including myself, became leaflings was very likely caused by being absorbed into the onion. Perhaps that process was also some sort of pigmentification of the body. Pikminified organisms can't leave this planet, so the Pikmin may have been motivated to carry out this process in an effort to secure a permanent leader. Of course, this is all a theory. Convenient for procuring ingredients. Compact with a tight turning radius. We love Moss. And with that, that is 3 hours of... Didn't he try to eat Moss? No. After Olimar got turned back from being a leafling, Moss ran off, and he found Moss, and they started working together until we got the crewmates that we needed back from Louis, to which he then went to the ancient Sire Hound. And smooth with a Trinity. Ugh. Posture check. And a Trinity for the road. Yes, thank you. But yes, this has been the first ASMR stream on the channel. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it probably won't be the last. But yes. So I'm probably going to call it here. I hope you've all had a wonderful rest of the night. I hope you all take care. Pokedex next. Oh my god. Oh, we'll talk about doing a Pokedex ASMR stream at some other point. That's a lot. Oh, there's so much that would potentially have to go into that. We could pick one game. That's still a lot. Oh, ASMR Pokemon stream. Oh boy. We'll definitely talk about doing more ASMR streams in the future. Where we go from the beginning of a game. Definitely something we can talk about. But for now, I am rather sleepy beepy. I am tired. I enjoyed this though. But we will be back here tomorrow with Persona 3. We will be doing the July Moon Boss. And yeah, we'll be seeing where things go from there. Until then, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the night. I hope you all take cares. And I hope your Monday tomorrow is nice, easy, and uneventful. Bye, everybody. Take care.